Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Karen A, and I would like to welcome you to our Afro-Euro Reco12 podcast. It is my honor to be here with you today to share recovery stories of experience, strength, and hope, mostly from the Afro-Euro Timezone, although we welcome recovered fellows, fellow Earth angels from all around the world. If you would like to share, you can reach out to me. I'll put my number in the contact, or famous fellow and brother Justin in the States. You could go to reco12.com/support if you would like to participate in a seventh tradition and contribute. The Reco12 family of resources has different podcasts, a big book roundtable, Noodle It Out with Nikki, the long-standing, American Pacific and Eastern Standard Time Reco12 podcast, and now in your time zone, or our time zone, I should say, in the Afro-Euro region. It is my honor and my pleasure to have a fellow spearheads of God's everlasting creation, spearhead, Binyamin, my new friend and fellow. I'm so honored to meet you and have you in my fellowship and in my international God squad. We'd love to have you tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey, and how you live today through the big book. Certainly, you're welcome to share about any fellowships you associate with. The way this works, folks, is Binyamin will share with us for about 20 minutes, even maybe 30. You could jot down your questions in the Q&A or write them down or remember them, and then you'll put them and we'll take them live. Binyamin, how would you like me to give you time? You want me to give you like a 5-minute warning, or you want to just stop organically?
Let's see if it comes to a 5-minute warning. About a 5-minute warning would be appreciated, yes.
Perfect. Well, it's our pleasure to have you, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me, Karen. My name is Binyamin H, and I am powerless over alcohol. Something I have learned drinking and not drinking. It is a very strange thing to concede to. So I'll start with a bit of my background. Experience, strength, and hope. One alcoholic connecting with another. And I don't know exactly what I'm going to share, how I'm going to share, but I would like to open up this meeting with the set-aside prayer, and then may God lead me as He would. God, please help me set aside everything I think and know about myself, the 12 steps, the big book, the meetings, my disease, and you, God, so I have an open mind and a new experience with all of these things. Please let me see the truth. Okay, so where do I start? Let's start somewhat at the beginning and at the end at the same time. So I've been sober for 5, now. This year we're going into the 6th year, and 4.5 years in, sober, not drinking, I am starting to go insane, not understanding what this disease truly is, and really getting beaten down, and I'm not drinking, and I don't know what's going on. I don't know where to go. And got back to the rooms of AA. I knew I was an alcoholic. I had conceded that. I had a spiritual awakening in the asylums we tend to go to, rehab, we call it now. And I always thought I had a drinking problem. But 4.5 years in, not doing a program, not understanding what this disease is, how it really, what it is, and what the solution is. Started going insane, restless, irritable, discontent, my default settings. And got into at least a financial situation again that I could go to the rooms of AA, where I was desperate. I was desperate, like, I don't know what's wrong, but it's definitely not right. Where you fellows received me again, again, not drinking, but I'm just going out of my mind. Nothing is technically speaking wrong, but something is wrong. And got into contact with my first proper sponsor. And the gift of desperation I was blessed with really took this program with both hands, because I'm dying. I know I'm dying. Although it's not physical, spiritually, I am going insane. And really start to understand in the book what it is, what my problem is. I have a physical allergy. I react differently to alcohol than normal people. Normal in that sense. They don't yearn for more. They don't yearn for more once they take a drink. Once I put alcohol in my body, I must have more. And I will, come hell or high water, I will get more until I am physically stopped, until I end up in hospital, until I wreck my car so I can't drive to get more alcohol, until the police take me home, until I black out. Doesn't matter. I need more. And then the mental obsessing about it. Maybe if I just this time drink it differently. Maybe if I just have this drink. Maybe if it's just wine. Maybe if it's just this. Maybe if it's just this. And maybe if, all the other things just fall into place, then, it's fine. It's fine. Then this time it's going to be different. I remember distinctly in the last throws through the real ringer, when I was still actively drinking, sitting and being at work and just feeling so separate from everything, like just a cluster bomb of this on me, this feeling, this not knowing what it is. And literally worked in finance, so I can hide in plain sight. Doesn't matter. Like, there are very many alcoholics or hard drinkers there. It's the culture. And 9 o'clock, sitting thinking, if I can just get home and have that drink, this will go away. This will go away. Immediate sense of ease that it brings me. And then that's the mental obsession and the spiritual malady. Restless, irritable discontent. Nothing is wrong, but nothing is right. I can't feel a part of someone. I remember the first time I drank was when I was 14 years old. And at that time, I didn't realize it, couldn't put it into words. Almost died in my own vomit. First time ever drinking. So usually people would say, oh, that's maybe not do that if you die, Every single chance I got, I drank like that. Every single chance. The weekends, whatever, every single chance I drank like that. Because I got connected. Wasn't afraid of people, knew how to speak with people, etc., etc. So that's why I know, going through the work as well, I'm a real alcoholic. I'm the one they speak of in the book that cannot stop even though I want to. And that's even with having spiritual awakenings. One of the cornerstones of the spiritual awakening I had was just before the last run is I literally died. I literally spiritually died. went into hospital after an operation. There were complications, got an obstruction, was busy dying from the inside out, got septicemia. Just before the emergency operation, I've literally wrestled with God to keep my soul. Like God, I felt God's hand coming upon me, literally taking out my soul out of my body and reawakening to the most amount of pain I've ever felt in my life. And I knew like this is serious, man. Like I have an issue here. I have a problem. Like this is a very, very direct warning from God. Like something needs to change. And I knew it was with alcohol. I knew it. And literally took about, the recovery was about 2 months. Off to the races again. And really like, now it's just like, I know I need to stop, but I can't stop. So now I'm basically drinking to die. And getting into situations which was unfathomable to me, literally unfathomable. Like my soul dying and I can't stop and I don't know what's wrong. And literally got to a point where I almost died 3 times in a row in a space of like 10 minutes. People who are in South Africa might know, stayed in Johannesburg, worked in Sandton, stayed in Benoni, that's about 60 kilometers, and drove on the highway, blackout so many times. But that specific time, fell asleep, passed out behind the steering wheel, driving highway speeds. And God let my hand turn to the right-hand side. So we have like little crevices or crevices, what would you call them? Markers on the road that basically wake you up. And I got home, threw myself a pity party, and I reached out to my sister-in-law, who's a psychologist, thinking like, this is depression, man. This is depression. I need to sort this out. This is kicking up again because I'm just depressed. Not even realizing like how abnormally I drink. Called the first doctor. I was at work, explained to the situation to my manager, and he said, just go, don't worry about it. If you need to go, you have to go. Phone the first doctor. It's doctor this and this. The secretary answered, sorry, we don't take emergency appointments. We can help you in 4 months. I'm like, lady, like I'm dying. Like I know I'm dying. I'm gonna die or I'm gonna go to jail. I've been in 2 institutions, but I'm gonna die. I know this, or I'm gonna go to jail. Phone the second one. Hi, it's doctor this. How can we help you? Can you help me? Need an emergency appointment. Okay, we do take emergency appointments, but it has to be 1 hour. We can't help you tomorrow. We can help you in 2 weeks. I'm like, you're actually trying to help me, lady. Thank you, but I'm not going to last 2 weeks. I'm not going to last. And I phoned the last doctor's number, and all I hear is like, hello. I'm like, listen, are you doctor this? Are you this doctor? He's like, no, but the doctor works here. Well, it's like, fine, but I need help. Do you have a space open? And it's like, yeah, man, we have a space open. Like, when are you coming? Now. I'm coming now. I'm desperate. And I drive. Lo and behold, it's literally 2 kilometers away from my house. Didn't know. I thought it was a depression clinic walking in. They have strange rules. No cell phones, no snacks coming in, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just saying yes, because I told God the first hand that you are going to give me, I'm going to take. The first hand. God took my hand and placed me into a rehab. And the funny thing is one, I needed to detox a bit. But sitting in the rooms and I'm like, this is strange. There are so many drug addicts and alcoholics in here. Like, I'm the only depressed one. I'm the only one, of course. And just sitting in those rooms is like hearing, whoa, I drank like that. That's my story. These people are literally speaking to me like I drink like that. I did that. Oh my crap. And I remember it was in the rehab on a Shabbat. And I'm doing the 12 steps through the NA work. I'm just doing what they're telling me. Like I told God, like, I'm doing this. I don't care. I had a reservation. Like maybe I can drink again. This is just depression, you know? And it's Shabbat and I'm sitting. And usually it's off during a Saturday, a Sabbath, and the people are rowdy. They're not really doing the work, you know, it's off time, yada, yada, yada. And I went and sat outside. And I was like, okay, God, okay. And I started thinking, what do I want? What do I want? I want a relationship with God. Religion that hasn't helped me. It didn't. It couldn't. Because unfortunately, I'm too insane to understand also the clear-cut directions that are given. I need a bit of help. So I want a relationship with God. Okay. I do want family. Would like a wife, would like children. You know, that's what I would like. Where has alcohol ever brought me closer to that? And I was 28 that time, so I've been drinking for 50% of my life when I could. And not once. That was where I had a true spiritual experience, like the white light flooding, sitting outside, not comprehending anything else, just this absolutely bright light focusing in on me. Remove. Problem has been removed. I conceded. I conceded to my innermost being that I'm an alcoholic. But that is not all. So kept on, went to the meetings, yada, 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 but not really understanding. I haven't started the work there yet, but somewhat doing it, not being of service to people, really, you know, at least getting into a practice of prayer and meditation, morning prayers, morning meditations. And looking back at it, that is actually the grace of God that saved me from not picking up, because I'm not in the rooms. I lost my job. Of course, that's alcoholic mind. No, I didn't know what the hell an alcoholic mind was. Like, I don't know how this works or why I feel like this and everything like that. Pink cloud for a few months, of course. Yeah, but got into a financial situation, can't get to meetings. Zoom didn't exist then. And I still had that judgment machine, even in the Zoom area of COVID and everything. Didn't go to online meetings. What are these? Oh, it's not the same thing. I don't like online meetings, etc., etc., etc. And so I separated myself. The ism, I separate myself from the fellowship, the unity, you know, and in parts from God, you know, still had daily prayer and meditation. And I think that's how God saved me, like not picking up, like still having the spiritual awakening, literally recoiling, thinking of alcohol, if that thought actually even comes up, where I couldn't stop thinking about alcohol. It wouldn't leave me. But that second surrender, like that emotional grind, it just twists and it twists a little bit more and it twists a little bit more. And I'm working, starting like I'm working, I'm doing my best and stuff is just not working out. And it's the people like me. They like, the boss likes me, started doing teaching. The boss likes me, the principal likes me. I'm doing work. I'm actually doing work, real freaking work. I'm rebuilding computer labs, helping people out in the school, like somewhat, and somewhat doing things, not knowing about the big bookstore. But it's just not working out. I'm just literally so twisted up, like it's not working out. Why can't these people see how good I am? Like I'm doing so much work and yada, 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 yada. Really not understanding what this is. And that state beat me down for years. And I'm just like, this cannot be it. This cannot be freedom. This cannot be freedom. And getting back to the rooms after, that was about 3 years of that. Again, not drinking, I'm sober. I'm sober and I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my mind. And another alcoholic who has a solution gave to me freely what he has received. And he really showed me, this is the path. This is the path. And going through the steps, I understand more of it. Don't everything. I can quote bits and pieces from the big book because I actually read the book that I'm supposed to read and I study it. And I somewhat work with others, like still looking for newcomers. People I've tried to help that have come to me just said, no, they don't want to do it. I'm like, okay. But I keep the door open. If people ask me if I can be of service physically, I'll be of service. If it's over Zoom, I'll be of service as much as I can. And I have peace and serenity. Even though my life is not what I would want it to be, if that makes sense. I'm unemployed, still looking for work, but I know God's going to open up a door. And I ask him specifically where I can be of use to you and my fellows, because it's not about me. It's not about my, I want $1 million in the bank account and I want this supermodel wife and kids that just do what I say and I'm the king. It's not about that. Because that's my disease, is selfishness and self-centeredness. Selfishness and self-centeredness is the root of my disease. It's the root. Like, I can't get away from it. The only way I can do that is turn my will and my life over to the will of God, to abandon myself to God, to the source of power. How God shows up in your life has nothing to do with me. Nothing. It doesn't matter. But I can show you the steps I took so that you can get to a place where you have a relationship with him, where you are safe and protected and you are taken care of. If I go to page 59, here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. Like, it's suggested that you take the program, but the program of recovery it's not a suggestion. A recovery program is 12 distinct steps in order. There are reasons that there is an order to this. There's a reason for it. Because this is how it works. This is what our experience, this is how it works. You have to concede. Like, I didn't do any of this when I didn't concede, like I'm in trouble, like I can't do this anymore. And it's not an intellectual thing. It's a spiritual thing. It's a spiritual matter. And we continue to do the steps. I mean, we have to clean house. I'm blocked. I'm spiritually blocked if I don't do these steps based on the decisions that I took or was forced upon me to take. Because sometimes I didn't have a choice. Like, I'm going to drink, man, and the consequences, I don't know. I don't know what the consequences are going to be. Like, I can't tell you if I take a drink, the drink takes me and there's nothing left. Like, what's going to happen? Basically giving the keys to the asylum to a lunatic. and say, here you go, you're in charge now. You're in charge now. Don't know what's going to happen. Maybe nothing might happen. Maybe the world will just start burning. I don't know. So going through this is getting God, even if I don't understand God, to at least getting to connection with God. And then I start doing my part and working these, literally doing an inventory where what is blocking me from God? What is blocking me? I need to clear that. Then be ready to be willing, just to be willing. I literally have to be willing. That's how I start. Be willing that God remove these from me. Remove them utterly. Not somewhat, not a bit, to remove them. Like He did my obsession, my alcoholism. I'm a recovered alcoholic. Recovered. That is an insane thought to me. Like, amazing, absolutely amazing. Like something I couldn't have done at all. Like, just no way. Because I tried it. Tried religion, tried drinking and not drinking, tried smoking things. I tried everything. Didn't work. For me, didn't work. Because I was devoid of the power that is required. That's what. And these steps, like I'm going through them again. I'm going through the process again because I forget. Funny here on chapter 5, how it works, page 58 at the bottom. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, and powerful. Without help, it is too much for us. But there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find Him now. One thing that stands out in that is remember that we deal with alcohol. Why? Why must I remember? Because I forget. I forget this. I can't rely on my mind. I can't rely on my mind. Like I have zero mental defense against this. So I remember that I need to plug into God. That I can remember. And that I do. And here are these steps that we take to get to the power. And I maintain it. Might not be perfect. And it isn't perfect. Definitely isn't perfect. I know it. But I endeavor to do it. I endeavor to do this. And this is the solution. This is the solution that I have found to work for my alcoholism. And alcoholism isn't just drinking. It's not. That's a symptom. That's my symptom. That's my medicine I need to take. That's the medicine. But now I don't need to take that medicine because I have a connection with God. And I'm walking with Him every day. And I start my day off with God. And I end my day off with God. And I'm actually able to be of service to other people, to get out of myself. And that is a wonderful thing for someone who is selfish and self-centered. Something I'm not able to do on my own. I don't want to do it. Like, given my own circumstances, if you just leave me to myself, I'm not going to do it. But I have to be forced to do it. In the sense of, not forced. Let me rephrase that. I have to be so wrung out. I have to have no options left. I have to concede. And that's when God comes in. Not an intellectual thing. It's not an intellectual thing. And that's when God saves me, us. So there is a solution. And you work it with someone else because I cannot, with my insane thinking, my sick mind, cannot help my sick mind. It can't. I have a sick mind. I need someone else to guide me through it so that I can get this experience with God. And then I grow. And I get a daily reprieve from that insanity because I'm to the best of my ability. And sometimes, not even every time to the best of my ability, but then I can get through the evening review and see, yeah, no, I was a bit selfish here, man. Didn't do this to the best of my ability. I need to clean this up. I need to go there. I need to do this. And God shows me that. So it's not a perfection thing, but I keep doing the steps because I'm free. Because I'm free. I get to do these. I get to do them. Yes, it is a must, but I'm starting to view it as I actually get to have a life beyond what I can understand. And it's not on a physical plane. Yes, there are physical things but I can get a life beyond my comprehension. Even if it is physically, even if it looks like weird things are happening and I don't understand things, I'm safe and protected. I'm safe and protected. And the solution is in the book. Just follow the steps. It is an action. Actions. Do this with actions. And that's how you get the results. And God will show up. He will. It is a guarantee. Our book guarantees it, but it is a guarantee He will show up if you do the work. So that is me. That is my experience that I have. I don't know how we're doing on time, but yeah, thank you for letting me share.
Well, thank you so much. I'm just touched and inspired. There's so much I hear in there. The big book playing through my head, Bill's story. I want to start something you shared closer to the beginning when you said that that you ended up in rehab, but you didn't quite know that was where you were. You thought you were going for some SOS therapy.
Yeah.
And that for sure was the hand of God, right?
Yeah.
So the thing that popped into my head there was like, well, what made you stay? Like, what was it you saw in the people that were walking you through? What was it you saw or heard that made you realize I need to be here? This wasn't where I was going, but this is where I need to be.
So the gift of desperation. The gift of desperation kept me there. Like, because I knew, and it was before I called the 3 doctors, before I got to the rehab, that I didn't, like, it was 3 days. It took me literally 3 days to figure out I'm in a rehab. Like, clear, like very clear, distinct things, like you're not going out, you don't have your phone, you don't connect to other people, nothing let me see, like, this isn't a depression clinic, like, and where are all the pills? Why aren't these people giving me a lot of pills to drink? I mean, I'm here for the pills, man. But the gift of desperation, because that, where God gave me enough sanity after dying almost 3 times, and I almost died a lot, like too much. I can't remember even how many times. Many times. But just woken up, it's like, I'm going to die or I'm going to go to jail. You don't want to go to jail in South Africa. You really don't want to do that. So, okay, let's just try the other thing. Maybe they just give me pills, it's just my depression. But in my heart, like, the words didn't leave my mouth, but sitting in, I can remember I was in the conference room calling the 3 doctors, and in my heart, it's just like, I'm going to grab the first hand that comes out, I'm going to grab it. Doesn't matter what the hand is, I'm going to grab this hand. And that's why I stayed. The first period of time, even though after a while I realized, like, oh wait, I'm actually in a rehab, man. Like, this is quite insane. But just going like this, okay, then this is the hand. This is the hand I'm going to do whatever you tell me to do. Working through the 12-step, and fine, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Gift of desperation. Gift of desperation.
Okay. So I'm hearing a few things in what you said. The gift of desperation. You hit a new rock bottom there.
Yeah.
I'm hearing that you hit a real rock bottom. You held on to this with the desperation of a drowning man.
Yeah.
I hear that in there without a doubt. And I see that with my sponsees, is that, and this is just a tip to all of those who are about to work with others or working with others. And Binyamin alluded to this also, saying like, sometimes we reach out because that's our sobriety and people don't want it, or we talk to them and they're like, yes, no, maybe. Or sometimes people just want to use you because they don't want to pay for therapy, or they're just looking to vent or vomit, or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm talking about. Clearly he's working a 12-step program that includes the 12th step of working with others if he's laughing. See, a lot of people are stuck in step 4. A lot of people go on a lot of meetings. A lot of people do a lot of sharing, a lot of outreach, a lot of 4 and 4, a lot of complaining. And I actually was there in my first year of recovery. I don't mean to be such a witch. I was there. I needed a lot of TLC. I needed to vent a lot. I was just done with an abusive relationship. And I had an abusive boss. And, it took me a while until I realized that I was the common thread there, right? That I was at fault and I was to blame for sticking around or being drawn to such, narcissistic superstars. But anyway, I'm not the point here. I don't mean to bash anybody who's drowning in self-pity, because I've been there a few times. Back to what Binyamin was sharing, you had the gift of desperation. I hear you were humble or beaten down, as the case may be. Honesty, open-minded, willingness. These are all buzzwords from our magic big book. But tell me, was there someone who had what you wanted or something you saw? Or was it just God? Was this just like your spiritual experience? Wow.
This was not so. No, like I'm sitting in the rooms with people that don't actually want to be there. Like, but when they shared their story, that's the first time where a light bulb went off. It's just like, holy shit, man! I drank like that. Like, remember, I'm just a depressed person in a rehab, So I'm not really supposed to be here, but this is the first day, and I'm going to take. So, and just like, crap, man, I drank like that. I drank like this, these alcoholics. Like, I snuffed that. I did that. Am I an alcoholic? And it's just like, oh, no. What is this? What is this? And that's the first time. And when I actually got silent, on the Shabbat, I was there the Saturday. It's just, I could sit and that it cannot explain to people. Like Bull's explanation is very good, like that light just coming in, knocking out, like, I'm an alcoholic, man. Like, that's not like conceding to my innermost being, I'm an alcoholic. That is different. But with that, as well as, that doesn't keep you. Like, then I went basically out of the rooms. Like, I had a second surrender where my life.
Wait, hold on. I'm actually going to, sorry. I know people are not that rude in South Africa, but I'm in Israel. So we're feisty and have the Mediterranean blood coursing over. So you'll excuse me. I'm just going to stop you there because you said a mouthful, a gold mine worth of stuff. So I just want to pause right there. I want everybody on the line to hear a few things in what Binyamin was sharing. And I'm going to put it through my, big book, Gold Rush Sifter. I just saw a movie that was based on the gold rush, sifting for gold. There's a lot of gold in them there hills, what he just said. So first thing, oh my gosh, I just had a light bulb with you there, is that you don't need the perfect sponsor. You don't need a nice meeting. You don't need anything but God, and to work your program to recover. He was in a facility. He's not saying he hurt someone and someone was mushy cushy with him. And thank God his sponsor picked him up every morning and took him to the racetrack and they ran 5 kilometers. I'm not hearing anything like that. I'm hearing a man that was desperate and broken and just was, God pushed him into a corner so that he could find him and then get a hug from him. That's what I'm hearing. So first thing, I just saw this on one of our noodle chats yesterday. Someone was like giving their shopping list, like for a sponsor, I want someone who will understand that I'm needy, self-pity, who isn't abusive. Now, again, I don't mean to be a witch and invalidate. I've also had sponsors who power trip and use sponsorship to bully people or to bludgeon people with their big book. That does happen. I'm not saying that that's okay. But you don't need anyone or anything to recover. You just need to be honest. You just need a pure heart to pray to God or whatever your higher power is and to take action, right? Mm-hmm. Abandon yourself to this program. It's a vigorous program of action. You know, I do this Wednesday, 11 a.m. meeting. I take off work to do this because it saves me. I asked Binyamin just this week, you know, I usually have had people lined up months in advance and I was like, oh, I don't have anyone this week. Well, that's my sobriety. And then I asked him and clearly he said to himself, well, I better say yes because that's my sobriety, right? That's how we do, people. We pray, we work with others, and we're always asking, how can I be of service? How can I be helpful? Even if we got our back to the wall with no one giving us TLC, friendship, support, coddling, or pills, as he said, to help us through. That's the first thing. The second golden nugget I heard in what Binyamin was saying, I already mentioned before, humility is just that he listened to what other people, now, whether you're looking for a sponsor or you're sponsoring, sometimes when you're first sponsoring, you could take it personally if someone doesn't want to work with you or they break up with you, especially if you're, he's talking about alcohol, but I came into these rooms through OA. I work a CODA program. I sponsor a lot of SLAWs and validation addicts. I work the big book for all fellowships, all addictions, all afflictions. It's important. I didn't mention that before. What Binyamin is sharing could be translated easily into sex and love addiction, workaholism, validation addiction, codependency. So when you're looking to work with someone, you definitely want to feel that sort of like, oh, that's me. Oh, I get that. And the big book talks about this, that we all come from different, it could be so powerful. See, I'm a nice Jewish girl. Well, I'm mid to late 40s, but I'm a nice Jewish girl here in Jerusalem. And my favorite sponsee was an ex-drug addict, brain dead lesbian from the UK. And we get each other. When she talks, I'm like, uh-huh. And when I talk, she's like, oh, that's me. And we have totally different addictions, different affliction. But see, the mechanism of addiction is just that you're putting something into that hole in your soul. You're just stuffing it. So it doesn't really matter what you're stuffing it with. See, I'm not an alcoholic. I don't have that relationship with booze, but I could with, chocolate cake or carbs or whatever. Friendships, relationships. So you want to look for that aha. Binyamin shared, right? You shared about that. You heard these people talking. You're like, oh man, like that's me. So I'll talk about, just a totally different fellowship for the compulsive overeater. Like you kind of realize like, Weight Watchers isn't going to do it for me. Yeah. Going to the gym 5 days a week, that doesn't quite do it. Like there's something about what I'm looking for in food that is not just about, having a sweet tooth. It's like, relief for all my problems, a payback for all the trauma I've been through, like that elusive feeling that we addicts look for in everything. So, okay. So just wanted to underline that you heard something in other addicts and you said, oh man, that's me. You conceded to your innermost self. So a word to sponsors or those soon sponsoring is that you only want to work with people who have conceded to their innermost self. Do yourself a favor. Don't waste time. Be nice to them. Do outreach. Send them WhatsApps to see how they're doing. But the bright spot of our day is taking people through the 12 steps. So it is just next level. It is heaven to find somebody who wants this program with the desperation of a drowning man, or is just humble enough to say like, okay, I got to do this. And they just do the work, Anyone who's too smart or too philosophical or talking about their problems for too long, that should be a flashing red light too, that they don't mean, they're not really serious.
Okay, back to your story. You talked about sobriety, what we talk about when you put the drug down and you're not spiritually fit and you were going nuts. What made you realize that you needed spirituality? Like what changed? What changed when you were just like not drinking to when you became a spiritual man of action?
So one thing that kept me at least away and somewhat alive is that I made a practice when I came out of rehab and having the spiritual awakening of prayer and meditation. Like that was a very central part of my life. And looking in hindsight, that is what saved me. Having somewhat of a connection to God, at least. That's what saved me and kept me from going back to drinking for 3.5, 4 years. But when it really it started grinding me down, like waking up and it's just like, why am I feeling like this? This doesn't make sense. I don't know why. Like life is just not working out. Like the bedevilments are on me, like all of them. And it's despite my best efforts. Despite, I'm not being rude to people. Like I'm not going out and, kicking the dog and stuff like that. But I just have this angst, this grind on me. And I got a job in the restaurant industry. Also, God opened, it's strange how God works, opened a door for me so that I can just get enough of an income. And I just realized I need to get back to AA. That's it. I don't know how, just get back to AA. That's the thought, but it's not a thought, it's more a heart desire that get back, man. Something is off here. And one thing that God revealed to me is along this process is teach. And I was like, teach what? Teach it's so broad. It's so broad. What? Then I went into, shift around, do all the things like alcoholics do instead of just sitting and listening what I'm supposed to be doing. Then I got into teaching, started doing a course, bridging course to do teaching and becoming a teacher, etc., etc. And that's not what God said. I live literally a few kilometers away from people that are dying of alcoholism every single day, a whole community. And the fear of not being able to help them is what literally drove me back to AA, because I don't know how to help you, because I don't have a solution, because I'm not doing the work. And that's the most sense is just I know I'm supposed to be helping them. I'm not helping them, and I can't help them because I don't even know what the problem is. Really? I have alcoholism. Okay, what does that mean? No idea. And that's what drove me back. And that's how I really got into this program. Oh, wait. This is the problem, and there is a solution to it. So that's the second surrender, where I was just okay. And that's where that's where I had a real different experience with God. It's just okay, so this is my primary purpose, almost as if it's written in the book that I'm using. So
wow. So I'm hearing a few things in here that it says we work this program and more will be revealed. See, that word teach just kept coming to you, right? And you started out with one of my favorites, the set aside prayer. It sounds like a lot of setting aside, like you prayed and meditated and got quiet. And you heard you had to teach. And you heard you have to figure out how you could be helpful to that community of dying alcoholics and addicts that live near you. Now, that wasn't on your Palm Pilot. Sorry, that's a throwback. That wasn't on your calendar for the day. That wasn't on your to-do list. But see, you got quiet. People online, see, I said this, addicts one to another. I relate to what Binyamin is saying. Like, he is me, I am him. See, I was making big money in the high-tech industry. Today, I work in the nonprofit world, training widows to be medics and emergency medical responders and take blood in labs. Like, that was not on my to-do list. I was going to be rich and successful and fabulous and speak many languages. And I try, but like I my actual paycheck that I got takes care of me. Thank God I'm financially set. But my actual paycheck is less than what I used to tithe to charity organizations when I was working in high tech. And though that may sound crazy, our big book talks about this in the promises that financial insecurity leaves us. Binyamin also said that about himself, much like Bill Wilson did in the big book, struggling with depression for years, things not being right. He was let go of a job. In my case, it was, I decided to make, many multiples less than what I used to, because that was where I could be a maximum service, empowering other women, helping other women get intellectual stimulation, get jobs. Today, I'm a medic. I go out on an emergency call. Right before I was online with you guys, I was helping a woman who was fainting and vomiting in her house for no reason and getting her on an ambulance. That was totally not on my list. See, what Binyamin is saying, and I'm hearing myself, because this is what we addicts do. I want you all to hear yourself. And here's like, wow, like, yeah, the Waze like did a reroute. Like, I wasn't planning on going there. And then we could have another awakening, right? If we stay close to him and do his work. I also want to put a plug in for prayer and meditation, because see, one of the things our big book says is we must smash the delusion that we're like other people, right, Binyamin? Other people can be workaholics. Other people can just pursue money and fame and supermodels and, or in my case, the best guy or the most handsome rabbi or whatever it is, the biggest Torah scholar, those are my world terminologies. But see, I don't have that luxury. Binyamin does not have that luxury. We addicts need to quiet down a lot. We need to meditate. I'm a big fan. I really should ask them to pay me commissions of Insight Timer, right? I have to quiet down. I have to do sometimes on my phone a 5-minute meditation. When I take my little girl to ballet, I'll put on a 10-minute meditation because I have to quiet down to let God in. And then I could hear even this morning, we pray all throughout the day. We set aside what we think is right, because we used to just muscle it through, we addicts. We used to muscle it through running the show, playing director, arranging the lights in the ballet. And we stop and pray. See, my mother's sick. My kids didn't see me last night. I have a bunch of what do I do first, God? Now, these are all noble and virtuous things. None of them includes drinking or acting out, Do I do my job? Do I do my laundry? Do I go visit my mom who has a bad eye infection, which I need to do today? Or do I wait for my kid? Do I do that in the morning, the afternoon? See, I didn't know. And the big book just says to pray. I hope you find a great job and you make tons of money. I'm sure God will shower you with all the best, Binyamin. But I love that he's sharing that he's having serenity and feeling useful and of service in spite of calamities and low spots and not everything being, picture perfect as he had imagined it. You want to say anything about all that? And if I got it right at all? I think he may be frozen. But I'm going to wrap up here because my battery is about to die. I just want to tell everybody on the line that what you've heard here today from Binyamin from South Africa is a man who came in desperate with the desperation of a drowning man. A man who heard his stories and others related to other fellows and addicts, continued to work this program in spite of depression, no job, no supermodel wife, no picture perfect, and just kept working his program and has found peace and serenity and usefulness to others. And if you're like me, you have been very inspired today by this spearhead performance, this earth angel, part of God's everlasting creation. Oh, we're just so inspired by you. It didn't make sense to me. You're such a nice guy. I saw the screen was frozen and you were staring me down until I realized you were just frozen.
Yeah, apologies. Lost a bit of
Will you pray
connection.
us out? Will you pray us out? My phone is dying.
Yeah, yes. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Peace. Thank you all for joining. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for letting me be of service. And may you have a blessed day. Shalom.
Standing still a moment, carving out this time, reflecting on the landscape of this life of mine. Peaks too high to conquer, streams too wide to cross, troughs too deep to walk through without incurring loss. Yet here I am, still standing tall, despite the rough terrain. One like me survived the storms and walked through wind and rain. Still standing, I will fight the good fight, still searching